Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out People of Reddit. Story 1. Instagram follower revenge. Basically I have a ex who is human garbage, and whenever I meet someone new I'll ask them to follow him on Instagram and unfollow him like a week later. He has a car account, we no longer follow each other, so he doesn't know they are my mutuals, and I know he gets happy when he gets new followers, and I also know he still lurks on my accounts, so he sees my count and gets annoyed. I don't have a big count, but he's massively insecure. Anyways, that's my very petty revenge, since his brand I created and all of his signature identifiers I came up with, and he still uses it all even though I've asked him to stop when we broke up. Story 2. Throw eggs at my car, have fun washing and waxing for hours. For a couple of weeks since school started, two neighborhood middle school kids, they are brothers, have been messing with my brother, also middle school aged, at school, on the bus, and in the neighborhood. Nothing very serious, but super annoying things like taking his backpack on the bus, calling him names, and taking his toys at the neighborhood pool. He told me, college-aged, about it and asked me to help, so the next time they came along while we were at the pool I chewed them out for a few minutes and they damn near shitted themselves. That seemed to fix it for a few days, after which I became their target. Now they didn't really mess with me directly, but instead my car. With my parents' help, I recently bought a 2021 Toyota Camry TRD V6. I have a much older car too from high school, gift from dad, but this one is really my pride and joy. Ask any of my neighbors and they'll know how much I love it. I wash it pretty much every weekend, lol. Now just yesterday when I was almost done applying a coat of wax, I ran inside to grab a glass of water. It's 97 degrees here in Atlanta SMH. I walk out to the driveway to see those MFs running away with an empty carton of eggs and my goddamn car covered in yolks and eggshells. I lose my shit and yell some nasty words at them. Not only had I washed it, but I had also waxed it this weekend, and that shit takes hours to do for a really clean finish. Luckily I didn't notice any paint damage. Now I promptly drive my egg-covered car to those kids' parents' house and knock. I explained to the dad WTF just happened and the whole background. These people have been more hostile than friendly in the past, but the dad looked pissed at what happened and he noticed how fucked my car was. Now this dude is a linebacker-sized Marine veteran. He instantly called his older kid and yelled at him to bring both of their asses home right now. ADP, the dad is profusely apologizing for his kid's behavior, and a few minutes later they show up. This man has the voice of a drill sergeant and he brought tears to his kids' faces in seconds. Made them do push-ups and shit right there outside LMFAO with both of us watching. After that, he asks me to go home and they'll be over in a few minutes to clean up my car. All three of them come over and I command those brats to rinse and wash and dry and everything. The whole time the dad stood right there pointing out his kids' mistakes. We did that for hours until my car was spotless and shiny as a diamond. Before they left he made his kids apologize again for what they did. Even though it was a massive inconvenience on my Saturday, I still feel like it's a W, since I know those slimy chimps will never mess with me or my family again. Story 3. Screw you and your cake. The company started out being family-owned and treated the employees great, casual dress code, easygoing. I was young and it felt more like going to hang out with friends vs going to work. I was a shift supervisor at the start, and as I said, all the calls got answered, work was completed on time and everything was very laid back. The last family member died during my 6th year and a new board of directors/CEO took over, and everything went corporate overnight, button-down shirt, dress pants, no sneakers. Other than Fridays, I guess jeans and sneakers on a Friday doesn't lower the stock price. The team I managed was all tech support, non-customer facing, so forcing them into dress shoes and dress pants seemed dumb. This was the start of my disgruntled nature. One of our CEOs, who had an office in our building, was so petty he would sneak into the call center on the weekends, when the rest of the office was closed, take off his shoes so as to make no noise, and in his stocking feet, sneak in the back door of the call center to look under desks to make sure nobody was wearing sneakers. Then complained to me and my manager when he found somebody. Another fun petty fact, I started pouring water on the kitchen floor by the call center back door, so he could step it in with his stocking feet, and just shrugged it off as somebody must have spilled something when he bitched. I got a new manager, he was vastly untechnical and micromanaging, a very, very annoying man. He was also very passive, he'd do something stupid, I'd yell at him, face to face in his office and he would say nothing after sitting down at my desk. 10 feet away from his office, I would get a strongly worded email about our interaction along with the new corporate overlord. Chances the company got super cheap unless it was managers' meetings or special occasions where they could put on the public appearance of being a family-friendly place to work. Cue the company's 10-year anniversary, all the bigwigs come down to our office, a few fly in from other states, they have a huge sheet cake that has the name of the company and 10 years written on it. It was sitting unguarded in the cafe. As I was walking through I noticed nobody was around, grabbed a knife from the table and cut out a perfect square out of the middle of the cake and like a fat kid I ate it with my bare hands. I nearly choked trying to eat it, so quickly worried somebody would come into the cafe. Imagine that Heimlich maneuver. Hey, what's he choking on? Stolen cake. I wash my hands quickly of frosting and flee. A few minutes later, our CEO flanked by his cronies came storming through the call center, yelling that he wanted to know who ate the cake. They had a professional photographer who was going to take a photo of all of them behind the cake for the local newspaper, and now the 10 years and a huge chunk of the company name is missing. I sat quietly and said nothing. In fact, this is the first I've spoken about this in 15 years. Smiley face. Fuck you and your cake. Story 4. My evil brother died with no one to inherit his money but me. I win. My first memories of my brother are of him terrorizing me, pinching, slapping, punching, all of it. He was 2 when I was born. We had no other siblings. We fought and I tried to defend myself, but I was a girl and 2 years younger, so I never really had a chance when he decided to bully me. I suppose it's not kind of me to assert that he was evil. However, here is some of what he put my family through. When he was 12, he told the guidance counselor at school that he was going to murder us in our sleep. I slept with a baseball bat, and my door locked. He was arrested as a kid for lighting fires and for shoplifting. He was arrested as a teen for burglary and drugs. He stole from others, my parents, and me. He ruined my things whenever he felt like breaking something. He actively sought out drugs to use them. He was the peer who did the pressuring. He routinely humiliated me in high school, tripping me or knocking my books out of my hands to show off to his friends. My dad had to defend himself from my brother's fists when my brother was mad. My brother did nothing to contribute to having a happy life or home, no chores, and no responsibilities, failed every class, sneaked out all the time, and ran away several times from the age of 14. He beat 2 different ex-wives. Our family was complicated. Despite everything he did, our mother constantly took his side and got him out of trouble. Over the past couple of years, I've posted about it. If you feel you need more info, you can see my post titled, "When Your Narc Dies, Will You Mourn?" He died at age 60 of complications from diabetes. He refused to take responsibility for caring for it, and never listened to doctors. Everything that uncontrolled diabetes can do, it did to him. He had no children, no parents, and no wife. About a month ago, I found out he died alone in a nursing home. They had his ex-wife's number, and she had him cremated. There is no one to come to a memorial service. Today his ex-wife called me to say that his debts are settled and there is a positive balance in his account. As his last living relative, it's mine. The very last person he would want to end up with even a dime of his money is getting all of it. Insert villainous laugh. EDA a few answers to common questions. I don't know how much. Maybe he set me up to go through a bunch of paperwork and end up with nothing. Not sure how he would have done that while blind for the past few years. He had no will. His ex-wife is an old friend of mine from childhood. They met again as adults, and she was charmed, 15 years ago, she and I had fallen out of touch. The garbage that happened in my family was never talked about. She found out the hard way, sadly. They lived across the country from me. They may have stolen part of my inheritance when my dad died. Brother's ex-wife was executor because my dad knew and trusted her. I did all my dad's business in the last few years of his life, like writing his checks for utilities, etc. I know how much was there when he died. I know what dad's will said. I know what I ended up with. It doesn't add up at all. That being said, his ex didn't have to call me at all about money from my brother, so I am considering what an appropriate thank you for telling me might be. Story 5. I left a dirt stain on man's white Nikes because he wouldn't move his feet on a flight. I was flying home from a work trip on AA. Now on this flight a man sitting sat next to me. He wasn't super tall, about average in height. He needed to go to the bathroom, so I got up, let him out, and got up again to let him in. As I sat back down, my leg hit his. I looked down to see his leg about halfway into my aisle, leaving me with about 1/3 of the space I had. I'm thinking he's going to move, and he's got plenty of space because he doesn't have a bag under his seat, but he keeps it there. I'm sitting side saddle in my seat at this point. I look at him, then at his leg, then back at him. He blatantly stares at me, then pulls out his phone and just starts playing on it. So what I do is lift my foot and place it over his foot, setting the dirty sole of my Converses on what looks like new white Nikes, fabric ones too, not leather. He immediately whips his head up at me, and I, following his example, pulled out my tablet and started reading. He pulls his foot away and had a nasty attitude the whole plane ride. Beaut, I got my space back. Story 6. Unsafe driver hits a roadblock. This happened back in the 80s in the town I grew up in. We didn't normally get much snow, but when we did, everyone lost their minds going out to play before it was gone. There was a slight hill in the street out front, just enough of an incline to slide down. Would have been a blast if not for the jerk in a large truck hauling ass up and down our street at double the speed limit. Parents said it wasn't safe for us to go play in the front part of the yard due to the reckless driver. So, what can me and my 3 older brothers do about it? Well, we had planned to build a snowman and an igloo in our yard, but decide to put those bricks to better use. Waited until dude blew past, then rushed out to assemble a wall at the top of the hill blocking part of one lane, easily avoidable if driving the speed limit. With very little time to admire our handiwork, we hear the truck approaching for another 50+ mph pass on our residential street and quickly took cover. Did he try to go around? Nope, no obstruction was too big for his truck, or so he thought. Dumbass accelerated to try to plow through it. Little did he know, that wall was about 4 feet thick and very tightly packed. To be fair, he did make it through the wall, but smashed in his grill and lost a headlight. Didn't see him again after that, and we got to go sledding. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.